Hey everybody, and welcome to The Breakthrough Effect. I'm your host, Jerrid Sebesta. I've had two successful careers. First, I was an award-winning TV meteorologist, and then a financial marketing strategist. I was living the dream, making good money, but inside I was craving for something more, something bigger. So I stopped deferring life, and I started creating exactly the life I was searching for. I doubled down on unlearning old mindsets and creating big breakthroughs for me and my family. And now I'm bringing that same transformation to you. Let's understand the rules of this game. Let's get clarity. Let's stop chasing and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect. All right, so let me start things off by asking you a question. What's the real reason you're not getting the life you want? What's the real reason that you feel stuck? What's the real reason that you feel that you have so much untapped potential still inside and it's not being displayed for this world? I'm going to walk you through a 3-question exercise that I've walked through literally dozens, perhaps hundreds of people in the last year or so that will give you perspective as to why the life that you want is not showing up, and it's going to give you a framework to think by that will allow you to actually step into that life. So if you feel like there's more inside of you to give, and I hope that that is everybody listening to the show, then this episode is for you. So I gotta just start off by saying a lot of people that are attracted, magnetic to Life Undeferred, to this podcast, The Breakthrough Effect, they're people who are growth-minded. They usually have an entrepreneurial spirit, whether they are starting businesses, whether they want to start a business someday, they feel that they might, they may be feeling stuck in their job or their career. And by the way, this show and this podcast is not for anybody, not for everybody who just wants to start a business. But again, people with that type of mindset know that there's something bubbling inside of them more, and they feel out of alignment. That's really a key phrase that I use a lot on this show, and just in conversations and in speaking and teaching and coaching people. It really comes down to alignment. Where you feel stuck is really not necessarily an indication that you're actually stuck. It's an indication that you just really are out of alignment. So the very first thing that I start with, and this isn't one of the 3 questions, but it goes back to a few shows ago, and that is, who the heck are you? Who are you in your most abundant self? What are you doing? Who are you being? What is your superpower? How is that being displayed for the world to see? And when people get really real about that question, they start thinking about, building a platform or a business, or perhaps changing jobs or careers. I have a lot of people that come to me and they want to do what I'm doing right now. They want to write a book. They want to start a platform. They want to do more speaking. At the end of the day, people want to use their superpower, their genius, in full alignment, so they are helping as many people as they can. It's connecting them to their soul, because their current way of life is not doing that. So perhaps that's you. And if you haven't done that exercise of really identifying who you want to become on a certain date, go back and listen to a few episodes ago. I talk about that question indefinitely, but I got to tell you personally, I'm always thinking a year out. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to become in a year? And I want to start using that lens as my frame of reference for my actions, my emotions, and my feelings in this current state. And that helps propel me to my future self. So let's assume that you have that calling down, that nudge. You understand kind of who you want to become and what you want to start to build and how you want to help the world and fellow man. Here's the first of 3 questions. The first one is this: where did that feeling, that assignment, that calling, that purpose, where did that come from? Where did that burning desire that you have inside to switch up and become more aligned and to start the business and to create the platform, where is that coming from? Is that coming from you, or is that coming from above? Is that coming from God, the divine creator, universe? And by the way, I really don't care what spiritual background you subscribe to or where you sit in your spiritual faith. I'm cool with no matter what you believe. I've got my beliefs. I'm sure you do as well. So I'm going to use kind of some general terms to describe God. But, is that coming from God, or is it coming from you? Well, this is pretty easy to identify. If your desire is to help people, to uplift, to create, to give, to make better, I can tell you with 100% certainty that that is not coming from you. You did not conjure that up. That is a desire that has been planted in you. That's a vision that has been planted into you. That's a divine assignment that you have. And kind of like what I mentioned previously on other shows, for me to start this platform, write a book, I felt it was my duty and obligation. And so when you have that assignment, it's almost your duty and obligation to act on it. That's another story for another day. But I'm going to tell you, that is not from you. You did not just come up with that. Okay. Now, if you said something like, I want to cheat, I want to steal, I want to lie, I want to take from people, then I would say that is not from God, because that does not represent the attributes of your Creator. So pretty simple. So don't apologize for this calling that you have, this burning desire, this thing that you keep wanting to talk about. Many people kind of snuff up their nose and shake their head and maybe give you a little pat on your head. Don't apologize for that. Keep pursuing that, because that is something that has been placed inside of you from above. The second question is this: are the people that you are supposed to serve, are the business deals that you are supposed to get, the nuances, the infrastructure of this business to come together and for you to have a fruitful, viable business platform, aligned life? Are those people, those connections, those business opportunities already created in the spiritual, yes or no? And I'm here to tell you that it is indeed yes. A lot of people are so afraid to jump, to take action, to take that first step, to walk away from a W-2 job and go all in on their business, their platform, their calling, because they're afraid. And many times I walk them through this question process. I'll say, is this desire from you? And they say, no, it's from above. And I said, but don't you believe that those opportunities already exist? And they say yes. And again, I'm here to confirm that is indeed the place. And that gives people a lot of faith to then take the leap, because it's already there for the taking. It just has not come to fruition yet. Does that make sense? And so here's another reason, or here's another way I can prove that to you. The reason why I can prove to you that it already exists in the spiritual, in the mystic, I don't really know how it all works, how God's got that all figured out, but how the inner workings of all of these things to come together already exists, is because you already have the desire. The fact that you have the desire, that burning calling inside of you to connect with something that feels like it's been implanted in you, is proof, in my opinion, that it already exists. You see, what you need to understand is that God is He's not a take-order chef. He's not waiting for you to figure out your life. He's not waiting for you to conjure up what it is that you want to do. He has already created it. It already exists in the spiritual. Then He gave you the desire. He doesn't work in the reverse. He doesn't wait on you to figure out what you want to do and then somehow mystically put it together so He can make all your dreams come true. It works in reverse. So the fact that you have that burning desire, that calling on your heart, is proof that it already exists. So what are you waiting for, right? So the next question, and the third question, and this is where things get really interesting and a little bit more sobering to understand, is that if the desire is from Him and it already exists for you to have a viable, fruitful business, aligned life with purpose and impact and all of the abundance that is within God's light, then how come you don't have it? How come that reality has not come to fruition? When I ask that question to people, they typically give me an answer like this: I just got to figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet. I got to sit down and I got to figure it out and hammer it out. And I always say this: it's not a doing process, it's a becoming process. It's not what you have to do, it's who you have to become. Because as you become, your ability and your capacity to receive then goes up. You see, God's heart and desire is to give. We are recipients of that blessing, of that light, of that abundance. And the only reason why we don't have more is because we are unable to contain that type of energy, that type of light. I've heard it said many times, there is so much power and energy and blessing waiting for us right in front of us at any given time. And the only issue, air quotes, is our ability to receive it. It's not a him problem, it's an us problem. Does that make sense? So what do you need to do? You need to expand your capacity to receive. You need to expand your, or perhaps elevate your frequency, the person by which you become. I've actually been around a lot more successful people in the last couple of years just because I've intentionally put myself in those rooms. And many of them are very smart, but many of them, they're not any smarter than me and you. They just are someone different. They resonate at a different level. Their energy emulates prosperity and opportunity. And by the way, if you know my testimony, that was the antithesis of how I lived my life for the first 43 years, where I lived in worry, lack, fear, scarcity. By the way, those things repel wealth, prosperity, and opportunity. And then I always wondered how come stuff wasn't showing up in my life. And it's so easy for me to look back and be like, well, I couldn't contain it. In fact, I want you to hear me out on this. And I get some weird looks when I say this. If your container cannot handle that type of energy and blessing, it would actually go against God's nature to release it to you. Okay? In your current state, you cannot handle the type of blessing that's waiting for you if you were to take action on your passion, on your assignment, okay? There needs to be some cleansing. There needs to be some correction. There needs to be some expansion of the vessel to be able to contain that. So again, why are you not seeing this dream life just pop up? Because in your current state, you cannot handle it. It's like trying to shove 1,000 watts of energy into a 60-watt light bulb. God would not do that to you out of love. He's not withholding to be a jerk. He's withholding because if he were to actually give you that type of energy, it would actually hurt you. I go on to say it would actually misvalidate you. There needs to be some correction. There needs to be some mindsets that get shifted. There needs to be some old programs that need to get deleted. And then as we do those things and we have gratitude, we have certainty, we give, we have faith, we believe, we have illogical faith in our future, in our destiny, in our potential. And as we do things and we sit in the uncomfortable, our soul begins to expand and our ability to receive then goes up. Guys, this is the cheat code. This is the cheat code. You want more in your life? It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more. Everything that you want, everything that you desire is from Him. It's already in existence in the spiritual. We just need to increase our ability to receive. And as our inner being changes, our outer world will then follow. Not because we're doing anything special, but because we are in alignment and our ability to receive goes up. And as the good Father that God is, He willingly and lovingly wants to release more blessing into your life. So you can go and you can make more money, you can help more people, and you can impact this world in greater ways than you could ever understand. And it's all waiting for you once we increase our ability to receive. So remember, it's not that He's withholding. It's not that your desire isn't already into fruition in the spiritual and that the desire hasn't come from you. It's come from above. There's a waiting process because we need to become more. We need to become bigger vessels to receive. Remember, the tagline of the show is stop chasing and start becoming. This is the process by which we actually find and walk into our destiny. Is the doing necessary? It is necessary, but it's 100% not enough without the ability to grow our inner working to then receive more of the things that are already there waiting for you. If this conversation sparks something in you, don't let it fade. Please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Don't forget to connect with me online as well. Follow me at Jerrid Sebesta on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or dive deeper at my website, JerridSebesta.com, where all my free trainings and resources are waiting for you. And remember, stop chasing the life you want and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect. We'll see you next time.